All right, yo, yo. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, yo. Sure. One second, sorry, one sec. Sorry, we're here. It's like 3 a.m. and my schedule's been bad for like 2 weeks. I have back appointment today. It is what it is. Thank you, sir. Warhammer Fantasy considered high fantasy. I mean, there's elements of high fantasy, I guess you could say. Like demons and such. There's a lot of, like, very world-ending-esque things that could happen. But, I mean, most of it, I would assume, is just kind of lowish. It's just kind of a mundane world with, like, magic seeping in, and then everyone's just at each other's throats. There's a bit of both. Yo, yo, good evening. Good evening, good evening. Oh. Okay, let's do this. We need to clean the dwarves. Clean the dwarves. It's 9 a.m. Yeah, you guys are in Europe. It's 3 a.m. for me. My schedule's been bad for 2 weeks. Cyberpunk's a good game. It's a good game, yeah. Cyberpunk is nice. I think it's a game that gets better with time. Typically, in the beginning, it was a little bad, but You got to give the game time. Most things, if you give it time, will get really good. That's usually how things work. Short. I do not. I mean, grinding games when they're up that's an achievement. That's what I used to do in WoW. I used to do dailies, and now I'm just like, I don't think I want to do dailies anymore. Thankfully, there's no grinding in League outside of a rank. You grind the season pass, have fun, but that's like demonic. That's demon mode. Yo, good morning. I think I used to also grind like Halo. Stuff like that. If I remember correctly. A lot of those older games had grind mechanics. It's just a way to keep you around. Keep you chugging away. Yes, sir, we're making Thunderers for the Expeditionary Force, which will be done one day. 56% win rate. Next season, we'll see. This season, I have no intention on climbing. I'm just gonna kind of learn things and chill. Because the season's basically already over, right? The season is basically done. So next season should be good. That's the goal, at least. I don't really know when I'm going to be moving, but I'm just gonna keep this channel running on fumes, and then the other one will be full steam. And then we'll see what happens next year. Can't even hear me. Bought a bunch of Kids for My Dwarves last year. Built and painted one of them. It's usually how it goes. Yeah, we'll be here. We'll be here daily. I'm probably gonna be on for most of the morning, just chilling. I have an appointment later today, and my sleep schedule's pretty fucked up, so I'm hoping to at least do this for a bit, and then we'll do the other stream this evening. Which dwarves did you get? Like, which kits? Cream, hello, sir. Yeah, it's 3 a.m. for me. 3 a.m. and a dream. Shit. Two of everything. two battle forces? 2 battalions? Two of everything could be enough. Might be a little bit overkill, but it's good. I guess it just depends on what you want to be doing. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, 2 of everything. I mean, if you're gonna, you could do a lot with that. You're pretty much set. Unless you want to run, like, you know, shit tons of iron breakers or hammerers and stuff. It's a little bit expensive points-wise, but you can do it. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Most of the, I think when Old World first came out, Iron Drakes were really good. Now they got kind of nerfed to shit, which is kind of lame. I don't think Iron Breakers see much play. Hammerers can kind of see play, but they're more of like a countercharge unit. But there's a lot of cool things. I do everything. I haven't played a game of Old World yet, but the goal is to kind of be able to. I do everything. I think the Old World does a good job at kind of allowing you to play whatever you want. Although sometimes, you know, you've got your little units that are much better in certain, I guess we'll say, detachments. Grand Army, Expeditionary Force, Royal Clans, stuff like that. Like, certain units just function better in those, but the goal is to have fun. It is certainly fun. Yeah, a lot of older folks are, because I used to play Fantasy through, like, 7th and 8th edition, and, I've seen a fair bit of content on Old World, but I haven't had an army completed since, like, 8th, or, like, early AOS when I last had everything before I sold it. Very reluctantly. But it's fun. I feel like the games are a lot more tame. Cannons aren't so destructive, and you don't really see, at least from my experience, things being wiped off the board. Iron Drakes existed in 8th edition. Yeah, they extended the Dwarven roster in 8th with, like, different gyro variants. They did Iron Drakes. They did, they had planned a tank. They were going to do a Dwarven tank for 8th edition. That never came out. Yeah, it was more of a natural progression of things, I think, and it was a fun edition. It's like, if you've got the Iron Breaker Brotherhood, well, you need some firepower to go with them, so here's some Iron Drakes. Same Brotherhood, but, like, more of a range support unit. To burn out the tunnels. I think older editions actually had flamethrowers, if I remember correctly, like really old Warhammer Fantasy. I want to say anything before, like, what, 4th or 5th edition? Before they had their book? Or maybe they even had them in 4th and 5th edition, I can't remember. Well, thank Warhammer Total War for the resurgence of this game. Because the only reason we have Old World is because Total War popped off. And I thoroughly support both, so it's awesome. It's excellent. Who would have thought that a video game would save a beloved tabletop war game? But it did. It is the greatest thing to ever happen in Games Workshop, in my opinion. 6th edition? Yeah. 6th edition was, I've got a lot of 6th edition stuff, but I never played 6th edition. That was a weird time for miniatures. The sculpts were a little bit more heroic-y, I guess is how you'd maybe call them. They look a little bit more, like this. Everyone's got their era. They're very chunky. Super chunky. Still sculpted by really good sculptors. It's just the style of them is very of the time, I think. I've got all the new sculpts, yeah. I had the new release stuff, but since I've been putting stuff in storage, I don't know where they are. Like, I had Burlock Damonson, I had the new Ungrim, I had the new Gunthane, I have the new Shield Bearers. They're all in storage somewhere. I don't know where they are, but I need to go find Burlock because I need him for the army. I'm not going to be playing Ungrim. I'll probably use the Gunthane because Gunthanes are pretty good. And it's fun. It's a Thane with a gun. It's an expeditionary force. Yeah, we're much better now, but we're not, like, perfectly healed, but we're good. Thank you, sir. Ulrich Ranulfsson was another 6th edition character. He's the King of Karakern. He's like the Shieldbearer Lord, I believe. Was Thorgrim in 6th edition? I have the books over there. I just haven't thumbed through them in a while. Thoric was there. Thorgrim might have been. I think they had Bugman. Stuff like that. I'm gonna go with, yeah, Thorgrim is on the Throne of Power, so he's got the Throne Bearers. The new lore for Thorgrim is pretty cool. He was the High King's, what was it, nephew? Is what you'd call that? Who's somebody who's the son of the sister of somebody. Is that a nephew? I don't know. Yeah, Thorgrim is cool, though. Nephew, yeah. Probably gonna go with Zufbar. I'm just gonna take it straight from the book. The new lore for, like, the dwarves in Old World, at least for the sake of the Arcane Journal, is that Burlock Damonson is, fucking up the Engineers Guild in Zufbar, and since he is gifted, they're giving him a second chance, and his idea of a second chance is going off and trying to reclaim, an outpost, Kazad Vosk, which is, like, right below Karazakrak. And, it's not what the guild had intended, but he's a hot-headed freak, and he's going to go off and try and reclaim some older Engineers Guild technology. So that's kind of what I'm leaning into. I'm just going to do, like, a expeditionary force of him and a bunch of, like, Thunderers and Clattergun gyrocopters, stuff like that. I'm not going to try and, like, you know, do some grand army with, like, a bunch of different units. I'll just keep it in theme, keep it tight-knit. I've got all the sculpts, yeah, I have that one. That was the anniversary model, I think, for, like, the 30th? It was, like, 30th anniversary? Headshot, hello, sir. Man. Yeah, the new sculpts are nice, though. The new lore is fun. You've got older characters coming back, which is always a treat. We are working on Dwarven Handgunners. Thunderers. You could still find that kit around. I think at one point it had lore. I think at one point it was used for something. I forgot what it was exactly, but there was some sort of short story, or it might have been the End Times, or something. It might have been Storm of Chaos, where, like, the three of them kind of waded off into the end of the world. I mean, Bugman, Godtrek, and Grombrindle together is kind of a fever dream. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. It's fun, though. It is certainly cool. We're good, buddy. Thank you. We're, It's like 3 a.m. here, so my sleep schedule's kind of screwed, but we're managing. Well, you could use it in the new edition as, like, shield bearers. It's a very legendary trio. You got the good old Hyde King, you got Joseph Bugman, the greatest brewer, and then the guy who just cannot die. Joseph Bugman. He was fun. They used to give you buffs for, like, rolling a dice. Everyone would just get drunk. Certain units would get, like, I think it was regeneration or something. They'd get flaming attacks and all these different things, I believe it was. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but yeah. Like, drink the beer and get some sort of bonus. I don't think many people played Bugman back in the day. I certainly didn't. When I was playing, it was usually, like, Burlock. Cannons, shit like that. I would sometimes run Thorgrim with, like, hammers, but that unit would be, like, 1,000 points. Completely unbearable. Unforgivable. Zed, hello, sir. Yeah, the issue with characters is that they're always too expensive. As much as you may want to use them, the older editions had them at, like, egregious point costs. So, like, most of your army wasn't even an army, it was just, like, a character that the army had to work around. Thorgrim is a fourth of an army. I think it was. New Thorgrim, I think, is like 300 points or 280 points, I believe, because he's on foot. He's without, like, the Throne of Power and all that stuff, but he's, just like a Dwarf Lord in points. Or not points, sorry, in capabilities, I believe. Mr. Ullickson. Joseph Bugman. That was the Perry sculpts. That's been around for a while. That latest Bugman model's great. I think it's a little bit static for my tastes. He's just kind of like posing, but it's good. Yeah, Bugman was more of like a little cheap hero, little buffing piece. He wasn't like... He was a fun addition, but he wasn't like the main course, you know? They might bring back the Throne of Power. So the current timeline for the Old World is set at the very end of, like, the Silver Age of the Dwarves. So they're on the cusp of, like, the Great War against Chaos. And Ulrichson does make his way up to Kislev to fight Azavar Kul and those guys, so he will be there with the Throne of Power. Because this is focusing right before what we know of, which is, like, you know, 8th edition, Thorgrim's Age of Reckoning, blah, blah, blah. You know, retake the realms. So there is a possibility that you will get Ulrichson on the Throne of Power, if they ever decide to do the, you know, final conflict of the Old World's setting. So there's a possibility, 100%. I'm just looking at this stuff. There's no, like, magnifying or anything. Furtera Moon buff. I can't remember exactly what he did, but it was fun. He gave you, like, random things based on rolls, I believe it was, and then you also had Burlock who would do something like that as well. Maybe not so much random, but, like, you'd get to pick which buffs you want. It's been a while. That stuff was, like, over 10 years ago. 6th edition being longer than 10 years ago. That was, like, what? Early 2000s for 6th edition? It's good times. Good times, but old times, unfortunately. Well, I went back to sleep in the evening, and then Ivana forgot to, like, wake me up. So I kind of overslept, but it's okay. My schedule's been bad for about 2 weeks. Yeah, it's a long time ago for most people. Warhammer's been around for ages. Some of this stuff, I guess, feels like yesterday because all of the re-releases and everything from way back when, but it's been a hot minute. It certainly has. Nostalgia is a very interesting thing. When it comes to fixing schedules, though, I don't really... It's not hard, but it's just about staying up. Like, you know, ingest a bunch of coffee and things, and then pray you don't fall asleep. I do need to at least get back on a schedule for December, though, because that's kind of when I feel like I should be back to normal. So roughly a week from now. Chargadin, hello, sir. See if this microphone placement's better. I've had to adjust this setup quite a bit for my wretchedly broken body. Which I think overall it's more comfortable when you're hunched over scraping mold lines for hours on end. Yeah, this should be good, actually. You're good. Let's do this. This one. Remove some vertebrae, become a dwarf. I think my knees have to shrink substantially. Yeah, the ads on this website are pretty bad. I think the only ads I run usually are the ones... I run ads every time I move, so like every hour I'll do like a minute's worth of ads. It gives me a minute to get up, stretch, and then sit back down. Catching up with life and focusing on health is kind of what's the last 2 weeks worth of being out of commission is done. It's just trying to get back to normal. Cleaning, relaxing, bit of exercise, going to therapy. Yeah, this is a Thunderer. Ye shitty old Thunderers. I feel like Thunderers aren't... Like, I haven't really been able to build a list or anything, but they're not the best. Lower range than a crossbow. Their only biggest thing is, like, they get 1 AP. I think that's kind of it, roughly. What I want to try is doing, because I'm making an expeditionary force. Quarrelers and Thunderers are kind of dumpy. No, cool if you want to use them, but, like, statistically, Rangers are kind of the best. But, I do want to try some stuff with these guys. Give them some buffs. I have no clue what it is. They said it was a lower spinal issue. Like, the last few notches in my spine were, like, inflamed or spasming. That's all he said. I never went back to the hospital. I didn't need to. Naturally, it was supposed to get better, and I think about now it feels that it did get naturally better, outside of, like, you know, your spine being worked on. Crossbows have more range. Yeah, that's the whole shtick. It's just you either get, like, 1 more round of shooting or you get better AP. Better static AP. I think... Do handguns have... I don't know where my fantasy book is. And I know it's not in the journal. Suck. Oh, I found it. Okay. Oops. So dwarves, where was it? Crossbows. Usually the trade-off is just range. You get more damage or you get more range. The problem is that shooting at max range is -1 to hit, so, like, if you've got crossbows, they're hitting on 5s. Kind of shit, you know? Rangers are always hitting a little bit better. Where are they? Thunderers. Right, they don't even tell you what weapons are on their profile, at least stat-wise, because the old world's very strange. Even with fantasy, it was so strange. However, 40k has set up their weapon rules, it's so much better. I'm pretty sure you can see the weapon rules on, like, the character profiles in 40k, right? With Old World and Fantasy, you had to go to, like, a different section of the book because everyone technically has, like, a standard weapon. Like, your handgunners have handguns. They don't have dwarven handguns. But then they have a rule that's dwarven crafted, so, like, you get a special bonus. The way these work is just so stupid. Oh, is it in the end of the codex? I thought it was usually also on their profile for a bit. That might have been Age of Sigmar, too. It's just been so long. I haven't played Fantasy since 8th edition. Yeah, anyways, it's usually just range versus damage. You know, crossbow's going to give you maybe 1 more round of shooting. With the Expeditionary Force, you actually get long range at, like, your normal ballistic skill, which is cool. So if you plopped a bunch of, like, Quarrelers together, you put Burlock in there, Burlock's going to buff them. instead of hitting on 5s, you're hitting on 4s. Still kind of shit, but like +1 is pretty good. I wonder if the Runesmith also buffs ranged units. Can't remember if it did, because usually if you put a Runesmith in, you've also got AP1. So you could have, I think it was 24-inch Quarrelers hitting on 4s, AP1. I think they also have like Armorbane 1s, so if they roll 6s, they get 1 more pen. Just can't remember. Do they have Armorbane? Remember. On each datasheet. It should be like that for Old World. I'm so sick of going to 2 different places to see stats. Eventually, when you do play the game, it just becomes second nature. It's not much to think about, but like, for the sake of overall, you know, consistency and kind of seeing what people have weapon-wise and what it does, it should be on the profile. It's like, if you want to see what a handgun does or what a crossbow does, go to the rule book. Not the Forces of Fantasy, the rule book, which is the other colossal biblical tome. It's pretty stupid. Or you know, well, you know what? There is a website that actually does this. What am I doing? Crossbow Old World. It's Warhammer FB. That's what it is. The Old World Warhammer Fantasy Battles app. Crossbows are 30 inches. Armorbane 2? What? 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 Really? Holy shit, that's actually not bad. Imagine putting, like... Oh my god. Armorbane 2? Seriously? A little bit better than I thought. But... I thought it was fucking 24 inches. That's kind of good. Managed to grab an official 1985-2080 Judge Dredd model. That's cool. It's probably made of lead. Don't chew it. Yeah, you just get more. You get more armored pen if you take handguns. Lower range, more AP. But the thing is, in Old World and stuff, is if you're shooting at max range, you always get -1, unless you've got buffs to kind of negate it. So like that whole 24-inch, 30-inch thing is just bullshit. You're not really getting... you're not getting much off, right? Like hitting on 5s, it's not very good. You kind of have to find ways to mitigate that. Which I think for the dwarves, it was just... I think it's only Burlock in the game right now who can kind of do that and just make it standard static shooting. Interesting. 40k is a little bit more intense with shooting and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a lot more like re-rolls and this and this and that. I think the last time I played 40k, 6s exploded for orcs. You had like more shots based on rolling 6s or something. If I remember correctly. 40k was always like, yes, now I've got the orc pilot, the orc battle wagon pistol shot, hitting on 5s, wounding on 4s. Can't forget those. Or it's like when you play guard, you've got all your little las pistols that don't do anything. Yeah. It's like, all right. That's a lot of shooting. I'm not done yet. I got 4 las pistols. Each with different ballistic skill. It's always volume of shot with boys. You'll eventually hit them. The shock attack guns were fun, though, I gotta admit. I think the last Warhammer I ended up playing was, like, probably 10th edition 40k. Or, like, tabletop sim. Yeah. I'm pretty much done with 40k, though, for now. As much as I want to play tabletop, like I once did, my love is in Old World and fantasy, so... Any 40k stuff is kind of to the side for a bit, until I can figure out this 2,000 point army. My back's getting better. It's like 80% now. I have an appointment today for it again. Then I have another one on Wednesday. So, it's getting better, though. I'll say by the start of, like, December, it should be completely healed, but I could be wrong. Well, Space Marines do make the money. You need more Space Marines. Without Space Marines, I don't think you'd really get much in 40k, to be honest. Knowing how much they make, and it's just like... Cool. That's great. More the merrier. I think everyone at some point has liked Space Marines. I like Space Marines at some point. Not really my favorite thing these days, but when I was a kid, I had a bunch of, like, Ultramarines and stuff. I had Ultramarines with my Goblin Green bases. And my flock. Ye good old Space Marines. My schedule's a bit fucked, yeah. It's been bad for about 2 weeks. Chaos was cool. I had a few, I had a little Chaos Force that I played in, like, 4th edition, maybe. I wasn't very old, but I played a little bit of Chaos. I had some Berserkers, I had some Devastators, Chaos Lord, Demon Prince. I had a few things. Rhino. The guy had a Predator. That was a long time ago, though. When I was young. Defilers were cool. Do they even still sell Defilers? I feel like the whole Chaos range is just so dried up. But then again, I haven't seen it in a while, outside of, like, the new Spawn they did. Because the Defiler kit was, like, what? Early 2000s, late 90s, maybe? I wonder if that thing is ever going to get updated, even though it's a pretty insane-looking thing. Like, a lot of the older sculpts are so good. And for the sake of nostalgia, that's also one thing. Like, I don't mind things getting updated, but when they completely shift away from, like, the OG, and then don't produce it anymore, it's a bit rough for those who want to go back and have, like, that original-looking army. Yeah. But Chaos usually has, like, the Dreadnoughts were a little bit crazier. The Defiler was, like, ridiculous looking. Like, a few years later, they did, like, what was it, the Helldrake or something? That big, like, vulture. Can't remember the names exactly. It's something around that time, yeah. It's when you used to have to glue guns into people's hands. You had to chop out the grip and finagle the trigger finger. Those were very odd times. It's cool for bits, though. You just wanted a bunch of, like, bolters lying around or shooters. I think that was one of the worst things to do way back when. Was fit guns into hands. That was so awful. Like, there wasn't even a way to do it. You just had to, like, chop them out completely. It wasn't like a... there wasn't, like, a guideline. You know, you'd kind of technically know where to go because trigger finger, right? But, yeah, you had to finagle it. It was a very useless thing. But the bits are cool, if you could find them. I think in addition to giving you weapon options, giving you, like, a few weapons that weren't in people's hands was cool. Just not all of them. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, if... I think for the sake of putting a gun in a hand, you're probably going to paint it the same exact way if it wasn't in the hand or if it was. But for the sake of, like, actual modeling and, you know, painting things separately, ideally you do kind of keep them apart. If you're that, you know, stingy on painting, which I am a little bit, but everyone's different. A lot of the scale modelers always paint everything separately. The Gundam guys do that separately. Since Warhammer's more of like a war game and less of a kind of showcase hobby, even though you've got like Golden Demon and all those things, I think most people don't decide to paint things separately, but you certainly can. Do you have like 2,000 points of OTAN? I cannot love the Votan, man. I don't know. I think if I did get back into 40k, I would play them, but I need to, like, cope with how they are. I need to somehow love the Votan. I don't know how to do it, but I could try to. I need to figure out how to enjoy that army. I'm too dwarf-pilled. Well, you could do anything you want. You could do kit bashing, you can create your own lore. I try to keep it within the universe, and that's kind of my biggest gripe. You know, you can have your own headcanon for anything, and that's completely valid and fine. I prefer kind of the lore in terms of, like, how I build armies or how I conduct color schemes and stuff, but maybe one day. Abdullah, thank you, sir. Votan are halflings. Well, you've got halflings in 40k. Votan are just... Well, they're not dwarves. They're dwarf adjacent. And that's okay. I'm too fantasy dwarf pilled. That's my biggest issue in trying to, like, get around Votan. Is they parade around as dwarves, but they're, like, not dwarves, you know? They're very much like dwarves. It's like Ornn. Ornn is very dwarvish, but he's not a dwarf. I like them. I like the Votan, I like Ornn, but I'll always revert back to, like, Warhammer Fantasy if I want dwarves. I need to try and accept that they're just not the same. I don't remember HearthAndHobbying. Yeah, we changed the channel name a week ago, I think. And we've only started streaming here a few days ago, so... Yeah, it's just a different entity. A different bit of content from, like, League, so I wanted the names to be separate. Baldur's Gate dwarves. Well, everyone's got their own take on dwarves. I just think Warhammer Fantasy's got, like, the best take. Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm getting better. My spine is much better right now. Actually, you just reminded me I should get up. It's been an hour, so let me actually stand up right now, folks. Let me put a 1-minute ad on, and I'll be right back. Let me just stretch. The guy said every hour I should get up and move, so that's kind of what we've been doing on both channels. Oh, let's do it. Nova GP scheme, X-Men colors, StarCraft. Yeah, but those things are not dwarf. They're just so devoid of being a dwarf. They're so devoid of dwarves. It's just whatever you like, man. I'm too typical with how I enjoy things. I just can't cope with them. But maybe one day, as I said. It'd be cool to get back into 40k if I could ever finish fantasy first. DRG is interesting. I feel like DRG is kind of Votan. There's not really much going on with DRG dwarves. It's just like, let's go work for a big company and mine and make money. Look gross. They all look nasty. Just kind of the Votan. The Votan just look disgusting. Like, in a dwarvish, I guess you could say, way, but... Yeah. Good. DRG is certainly just more of a jokey, fun type of thing. It's not like some serious, you know, oh my god, the lore is so deep and these dwarves have a chance at, like, standing up to Durin's folk. It's just, it's a bit of goofy fun. They all sound terrifyingly gross. They look disgusting, which is, you know, suitable for a dwarf, but yeah, it's just good fun. Yeah.
Shut up, you dickhead, now fuck off!
The goat returns.
Your grain pain, thank you, sir. Hey, for the 36 months. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. We are here indeed. We'll preferably be here every day, as we will on the main channel. And I promise new emotes and other things on this channel? Maybe not. Not right now. But, you know, hopefully soon I can get Ivana to kind of, like, make a few emotes and stuff like that, because I know people do want to subscribe here, and that's awesome, so thank you. But it's a bit of a slow burn, I think, for this channel, for sure. I think this channel's been live for about 4 years. The anniversary was yesterday, crazily enough, and I had no idea it was, so. It's been about 4 years, I think. It's not 4 years of scraping plastic, but that was something we did here for quite a bit. I don't think this PC is very good for gaming. This is the same PC that I used for the Montreal streams. It's kind of run its course. I mean, I do need to get in it and kind of clean it up, but it's not the best. Like, Total War barely runs. It's a bit laggy. This, thankfully, runs just fine. I think it lags here and there, but, like, you know, we're just scraping plastic. It's not the end of the world. But yeah. It could run League. I actually deleted League. I deleted most things on this PC because this is now relegated to, like, the Warhammer streams, so it doesn't need games outside of the Warhammer games if we get back into them. Like, I've got 2 separate setups. This one I had to kind of rebuild because I put stuff in storage. I put a lot of stuff in storage, actually. I had to go through a bunch of bins to even find half of what I've got right now. But yeah, we've just... The main channel's PC is really good for gaming. Not the greatest, but it gets the job done for sure. This is like that old retired racehorse. It's ran its course and now it's just going to eat grass and live peacefully. With the Warhammer plastic scraping. Mochi, you okay? Okay? Mochi's going crazy. Hair is on my hat still. Hair is everywhere. This dog is shedding. He's shedding all over the floor. He's just looking at me. This room's kind of a mess right now, so I'm not really letting him in. Just staring. He's chilling. He's got a lot of different things to go play with and hang out with until this room can be cleaned up a little bit more. I hope not. I don't want him to chew on anything. That's kind of why he's not really allowed in this room right now, is because I've got too much shit everywhere, and knowing him, he would take it and chew on it. Like, you kind of have to save dogs from themselves. They don't know. So, yeah, ideally we don't have that happen. There you go, handgunner. Yeah, my schedule's a little fucked up right now. I need to get back to bed probably around 7. Another nap and then wake up for like noon because I have to go to an appointment for my back and then I'll be on the main channel. There's no will in me to even load up League right now while I'm fucking up at 4 a.m. Ay, ay, ay. There is no will. Alright, let's do this one. I don't think there's even... The music is so low. Can't even hear anything. Here we go. Couldn't hear the music before. Yeah, it was just so low. That box is actually, the value of that box is pretty good. Like a gyrocopter, you get the old Belagar, who's now just like a nobody. Iron Breakers, or like Iron Drakes, like that's pretty good value. Didn't you also get a Runesmith? I think you also got a Runesmith, right? Belagar. Belagar got turned into a nobody lord in like Age of Sigmar. Oh, it was an engineer. Okay, so that's even worse though, because you got Belagar, who's now a nobody, for the sake of Age of Sigmar, and then you also got the Grim Burlickson, the son of Damonson, as a nobody as well. It's a little bit sacrilegious, but like the sculpts were good. It's just seeing named characters get turned into no-name characters is kind of sad. That's a little bit, you know, troubling, I guess, but Age of Sigmar was initially a bit but it's good now. It's great. I'm very interested to see what happens next year for AOS. Like, the Fire Slayers are supposed to be getting a refresh. There's a new Dwarven faction coming out. Like, the old Dispossessed stuff is supposed to also be a thing. This is so chill, I have it in the background while doing uni work. It's lovely, sir. Hopefully the work does go well. This is kind of what the stream is meant to be. It's not really anything crazy. We're just kind of scraping plastic and chilling. That's really just it. Well, the engineers buffed, I think for Age of Sigmar, they did buff gyros, which is a very strange choice, because, like, you've got artillery. Why aren't you buffing artillery? You know, it's not that the engineers can't buff the gyros, but I think that was kind of the strange combo at the time. The very first edition Age of Sigmar, when it came out, was literally just Warhammer Fantasy put into Age of Sigmar. I actually still have the printouts for, like... Oh, I remember playing first edition AOS with all my fantasy stuff, and I was like, this is interesting. So this is like the compendium stuff. When Age of Sigmar first was a thing. Sec. This is what you had. Dwarves. You had your 8th edition cover art, you had your introduction, how to use the War Scrolls and everything. It was a very different time for Warhammer, for sure. There's your Thorgrim. I forgot how the points worked in this. I don't think it was actually based on points. I think it was based on power or something. I can't remember. First edition had no points, I believe. Like, the very first introduction to, like, Age of Sigmar from 8th edition fantasy. Thorgrim. Not much going on there. Thorg Ironbrow with Craggy. That was very, very odd. Belegar, Ungrim. Pretty much everything had rules in AOS. It was any miniature they supported would have a rule. Dwarf Lords, Rune Lords, stuff like that, yeah. The Dwarven Engineer was very fucking useless. The Dwarven Engineer, his gimmick was repairing war machines. You could repair a war machine by giving it one more wound, which is kind of irrelevant. First edition was a little bit odd. I don't even know if this was first edition. This is like maybe a little bit before they started doing the big books. Very strange. Yeah. It's good to have the old world back, though, for sure. The old world being a thing and fantasy returning is great. Mecha, hello, sir. Organ guns. I think engineers did a lot more back in the day. I forgot exactly what they did, like, specifically. I forgot. Did they use their ballistic skill? I can't remember. New engineers don't do that in Old World, unfortunately. There's, like, no way to buff ballistic skill in this game. It seems. You were able to use engineer's ballistic skill, right? I think that's what it was. And then you also had to, like, reroll misfires. Something like that with the engineer, which would make complete sense. It's been a hot minute. Stuff like Warriors or Quarrelers. Well, they're supposed to be maybe getting more stuff for AOS. I mean, the whole thing with... I believe currently what's going on is it Grombrindle or Grungni who are trying to, like, reunite the Dwarven race in Age of Sigmar? I can't remember. It's something like that, so... Seeing, maybe the classic Dispossessed actually do something. The ones that are, like, inside the cities or wherever else in the mortal realms. That's what I would like to see, but that also kind of bleeds over into, like, the old world. No, because those are, like, your typical classic dwarves. Not that they would look the same, because they would get new sculpts. How do you... I haven't played AOS in a while, but do they still have, like, hammerers and things in Age of Sigmar? Like, can you still play Cities of Sigmar dwarves? Is that a thing? Mochi. Mochi, no. Give me 1 sec. Hang on. Second. Everyone's going insane. I think what we'll do here is stream for another 15 minutes, because Ivana wants to sleep. And I'm kind of being loud. So. Oh, they are still playable? That's kind of strange. Those are going to get squatted out. That's just kind of not going to be a thing soon enough. I don't suspect Age of Sigmar stuff to kind of linger if Old World comes back. Which it did. It's like, whatever happens, do not keep 2 of the same miniature in 2 different games. Or the same miniature in 2 different games. Especially with one being, like, the evolution of that game. It's like, I don't think anyone's evolved. Land trains were never made into a real unit. They were in Epic, but they weren't in, like, actual 40k. You never got the gyrocopters, you never got the land trains. I don't think you had the termites. You had, like, infantry squads, you had, like, living ancestors, you had trikes, you had exosuits. I think that was it. Maybe you had termites, I'm not sure. Yeah, most of that stuff was never really made into, like, the actual game. Like, if you want to see the full brunt of, like, what the squats could have had way back when, you'd have to look at Epic. There are fan data sheets, yeah. There's a bunch of things lying around that, like, over the years people have probably made for squats and whatnot to play them in, like, current 40k. Or previous editions of 40k. That would be interesting, yeah. I mean, I think at this point the sky's the limit. We know kind of what the new Votan are about, so I wouldn't be surprised if they played off of that a little bit more. Usually GW likes to go back and kind of like twist things around or bring them back in like a different form. Because a lot of those older ideas are really cool. It's just, you'd have to kind of modernize them just a little bit. Not all of them, but, you know. You gotta give them something new to look like. Thank you. I think I'm gonna end soon, just because Ivana's trying to, sleep. She's not very happy. She can hear me talking. Well, these days, I mean, we still have the squats on, like, Necromunda and stuff, which are very much more akin to, like, what we used to have in, like, Rogue Trader. They're still even with the same name, thankfully. They don't look the same or anything like that, but they're more akin to it, right? Like, you've got the trikes and all that stuff, so... I mean... For those who like, you know, the current Votan and stuff like that, they're eating pretty good. Even the Necromunda squats, which I do like more than Votan. But yeah, it's a good time to be a Warhammer fan, for sure. Like, you've literally got most of what I enjoy came back. Like, Warhammer Fantasy coming back as the Old World is perfect. And you've got the squats in, you know, 2 different forms. One of which I'm still trying to cope with, but... yeah, it's a good time to be a Warhammer fan, for sure. You've got, like, new games coming out, new shows. There's a million different things to kind of get into. Or revisit, you know, for the sake of, like, those who have been around for a while. Oh, it's definitely more 40k than anything. That's what you kind of need to be in 40k right now, is a bit more serious, but... yeah. Not everything's gonna be for everyone, right? It's like, just because you're a fan of dwarves or whatever doesn't mean you'll be a fan of Votan. Like, they're very different. They're not even dwarves to begin with, but... everyone's got what they're into, and that's cool. I do think the new model looks good, though. The Chthonian Berserk character, the Bury guy. Outside of his, like, lumpy skin. His stone skin. He looks pretty cool. Yeah, well, again, everything is more of instead of having the physical ancestry, you're more of given like the code to your ancestry, right? Which is kind of a cool sci-fi twist on like how dwarves kind of, you know, value their ancestors and whatnot, how they honor them. It's very sci-fi. Like it's still dwarf coded at the end of the day. It's very much dwarves, but certain aspects are a little bit too insane. Very 40k though. But they're very, very sci-fi. Oh yeah, for sure. Going out into space, kind of overcoming it through technology and, you know, and then kind of creating clones of yourself to inhabit the core. It's very much about being made for your environment, surviving the inhospitable space through science and technology. Yeah, this is a cover. Apparently it wasn't everyone's favorite, but even I need to read it. I think I own it, but I think when I get back to reading, it's going to be a bit more old world stuff, like fantasy, just to kind of catch up on things that I haven't read in a while. And then hopefully kind of dive into like AOS and then maybe 40k. I think is there one Votan book or two? I think there might be two. Not sure. Oh, there's only one? Okay. Thorpe is pretty good at writing dwarves. I mean, again, I don't want to keep saying Votan or dwarves. It's just not the case. Like, they're coded, but that's not the same thing. No, he writes dwarves pretty well, though. I think Thorpe did, like... I know he did 2 novels. Grudge Bearer, and he did Doom of the Dragonback. I think he also was doing... I think he did, like, the 6th edition book, actually, for dwarves. If I'm not mistaken. The 6th edition army book. Tis been a hot minute. Few short stories. They are the dwarves of 40k. Yeah, for sure. They're supposed to be. 100%.
Shut up, you dickhead, now fuck off!
Yeah, Mr. Rat Plank, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. It's getting better. I've got another therapy appointment today at like noon. Thank you, sir. Everything's good. My sleep schedule's kind of off, but everything's been kind of getting back to normal, I'd say. Like, you know, the last week has been health-related, cleaning, organizing, like a year's worth of kind of negligence. Everything's been pretty good so far. We're just trying to, like, readjust. Yeah. Everything's been getting better. Ooh. Thank you, though, sir. Hopefully everyone's also kind of, you know, getting along with life and everything that's going on in the world. Mental health and physical health and all types of health is very important. Very, very important. They're a little bit gross looking, I agree. They've got, like, a lot of very odd mutations for their, you know, specified role in society. They're a little bit gross. But that's very 40k. Besides burnout, I'm still engaged. That's good news. You know, everyone goes through burnout. Everyone needs a break at some point. Burnout is a very natural and normal thing. You just kind of have to spice things up, you know? Mix up the game plan a little bit. Off-schedule stream, living in Korea has made it difficult to catch you live. We usually don't really stream at this time. I know everyone's time zones are really weird. Like, right now I kind of have to leave because Ivana needs to sleep. But I will be back on in the morning when she's, like, actually sleeping. But yeah, hopefully we do kind of get, like, a smattering of different streams. I think come December it's going to be a little bit more dialed in, you know, like, with an actual schedule. For now, it's just kind of when I'm up. And right now I'm up, so I'm most likely just going to go clean for a little bit. And then I'll be on maybe at, like, 7. So, like, 2 hours from now. Yeah, time zones are a bit of a rough one to work with, for sure. Like, I think you're on a completely different schedule than me. You're, like, the exact opposite in Korea. Yeah, it's like 5 a.m. for me. Finally, back to Warhammer. We will be doing it, sir. We've got a new camera. This DSLR camera. You can see the very pores of which my ancestors will come from. The Votan ancestors. It's 10:41 a.m. here. Yeah, you guys are mostly in Europe, right? I'm assuming everyone's in, like, Asia, Europe. No, these are plastic. It's just plastic shavings. Well, buddy, I'm leaving. I gotta go. I need to let Ivana sleep for now. I think I'll be on in maybe, like, an hour and a half when she's, like, actually sleeping. Yeah, because she's not very happy. She banged on the wall. And then Mochi started yapping, so me and Mochi are in the dog pen. So yeah, let me go for like an hour or two. I'll let her sleep a bit, and then when she's really asleep, she's out like a rock. She won't even hear me. So I will be back on in like an hour or so. We'll probably stream until maybe like noonish, and then I have to go to my back appointment, and then when I come back, we'll do League. Yep, so everyone take care. I'm gonna go let Ivana sleep, and I will be on in like an hour or two. Alright? So, peace, be well, and